I am Sebastian Kivita-Busch, founder and managing director of Invinci Agency. Invinci Agency, we are a boutique full-service Amazon strategy and execution firm that serves as the to-go partner for premium beauty and personal care brands seeking to design and execute a winning Amazon media and retail strategy. Now, I would have loved to make this presentation in person, but right now I'm crossing the Atlantic on that beautiful boat. And despite the latest advancements in connectivity, we're not quite there yet for me to live stream off a boat of that size. So apologies for pre-recording it and that we won't have a Q&A. But if you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me and I will get back to you as soon as I have some dry land under my feet again. So moving on, optimizing your Amazon strategy. Let's start off with something basic. What is strategy? Strategy is a plan of actions designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. And now, how do we optimize a brand's Amazon strategy? Well, the problem is most brands don't have an Amazon strategy, so we can't really optimize something that doesn't exist. The first thing that brands need, or that you will need to optimize your Amazon strategy, is you need clear goals. You need to know, why are you on Amazon? Do you want to sell on Amazon to acquire new customers? Do you want to protect your brand IP because you have the problem of fakes going around, or third-party sellers just like selling old products of yours? Do you want to grow sales, or do you want to get custom insights about who's buying your product, where they're being sold, how many are being sold, and so on and so on? So it's really important that before you start working on Amazon, or if you're already on Amazon, you really lay out your goal or goals that you have for Amazon on an annual base or even quarterly base, so you can work towards those different goals. And as to set out those goals, we need to understand Amazon in itself. And the legend says that Jeff Bezos himself came up with this Amazon flywheel, or the Amazon flywheel, and wrote it down on a napkin. And this is in essence how Amazon works. This is the customer experience. This is the combination between the selection, the experience, driving traffic to the site, selling, and overlaying all of this with lower price points. If you are, for your brand, for your products to do well on Amazon, this flywheel needs to work seamlessly. That means if you, for example, you run with lower prices, you have a low price structure, you run with low prices, you create the customer experience, but then you don't drive traffic initially to Amazon, you might do all the other things right, but if you have one of those elements who is failing, the whole system is going to start like stumbling and you won't see the results that you should be seeing. As to go a step further and understand where is Amazon sitting within the whole sales funnel, it sits at the very bottom. So we have from top to bottom in the sales funnel, on every sales funnel, we have like the awareness, creating interest, we have the decision making, and we have the action. Now, Amazon can sit in the awareness, Amazon can certainly sit in interest, but what it is really, really good at is at the decisions and triggering the action of buying the product. Amazon is optimized towards triggering those actions. If you're a newer brand, or if you're a bigger brand actually, and you come on Amazon, Amazon often will tell you, it's like, oh, you know, Amazon is great at creating awareness. More and more people are searching on Amazon. We've overtaken, especially in the US, overtaken Google for the primary place where people go and explore products. And that might be very true, but it's still difficult to create this awareness level and this and the interest in people just because of the way Amazon is designed to present the product. And that just like holds back to convey the right message that you might want to send, to create the desire in the people to connect with your product. The next step is to understand the customer journey on Amazon. So we're sitting at the bottom. The customer, you created the awareness, you created the desire, let's say on Amazon or externally, you drove your customers, they went to Amazon to explore you, they found you. How is the journey going to continue? 76% of the people start the Amazon journey in the search bar and type in for the product or the brand or a keyword of the products they would like to see. And normally that's like in this case, I think what I typed in was face cream. And this is like in the beauty section. And what you find is this. So the customer lands on the search result page, and it will be confronted with all the images and all the text. And here's where the first part of the optimization process starts. You want to have the right images. You want to have the right text. And the right images is always a little bit of a subject because Amazon has quite strict rules around it. But you want to present your product in the best way possible. And that raises the question, do you want to present your primary product, or do you want to present it with the secondary packaging around it? How do you convey the best? How do you get the most out of it? And then it comes down to the description of the product, to the title, basically. That's the second point where people stop. And in that title, you want to convey the main information. And the main information for your customer may vary very drastically depending on your product. Because if you have a very high-end product, a luxury product, you don't really want to go into the direction of extending your title with hundreds of keywords, or well, not 100, but like tens of keywords describing all kinds of details. You want to keep it probably rather sleek and direct, because your client that's going to be looking for that product is probably going to be someone with more resources, that's going to be probably a bit more refined. And for them, the long text might come over like quite noisy. On the other side, if you have a product that is fighting on the lower price point between other products, yes, you do want to extend the keywords as much as you can, because you want to tell the customer upfront as much, or give them as much information about your product as you can to make it stand out. So there's very different strategies depending where your product is sitting, in what category as well, how to optimize those product titles. Once someone has selected your product, you caught their attention, you had the right title, and they get onto it, the next step is they're going to be led to the product page. And this is how a typical product page looks like. I chose Elements purposefully because they have been doing a really good job in the last couple of years in optimizing the Amazon game, and they're doing really well. And this is what you want to have. You want to have your clear product as shown. In this case, the product is actually not a full photography, it's a composed image, which works great because it takes away all the disadvantages of having like a glass container or transparent container and pictures being taken off it. You want to have, for sure, on the left side, you can see to the main image, and you can see the product carousel. So you do want to have all those images filled. And all those images filled means you want to have images of your product being used, of your product being, for example, applied, in this case, on a hand, on a face, a lifestyle. If you have a video, videos are really great. They drive conversion up a ton. So really make use of the space that Amazon is giving you to present your product in the best way possible. Amazon wants you to use that space, so use it. A lot of brands, they run into me and say, well, we don't have the images. Like, create images, have the photo shooting. It helps because what people are going to do is they're going to get on this page, on the product page, they're going to see the first image, they're going to look to the right, they're going to check, like reread the title, and then they're going to go through the carousel before they even start scrolling down and going through all the additional information that you have. So that's right there. The carousel is your main selling point, your first main selling point to your customers or potential customers, to really convince them and convey the idea of your product and your brand. And then once the customer has gone through it, and I cut this like short because the product page are getting incredibly long right now, and it's very difficult to compress them into a 16 times 9 format or by 9 format. But basically, on the right side, if you have a brand, if your brand is brand registered with Amazon, you have the option to create your A+ content, and the A+ content is not indexed on Amazon. That means like whatever you put there, the search engine, the Amazon search engine will not pick it up, but it's the ultimate tool to present. It's basically the space that Amazon gives you to present your brand and your product in the most free way that Amazon can do. It's basically like a mini sub website within the product page. Now, brands stumble upon this as well, and they think like, well, we're just going to put like a couple of images up and here and there, and they underutilize the space. But it's really important that if you invest into designing a proper A+ content or A+ premium, like in this case, which is slightly different than the A+ content, the results are really, really great because you can create this perception about your brand. You have to think, and your product, you have to think, you're not only selling your product in itself, you're also selling the perception that you have behind it. And Amazon is eventually a visual store, a visual element that we cannot touch. The only interaction that we have with it is visual. So images and the quality of the images and how things look and are designed is key to your success on the long run. So remember that as well, on Amazon, you're selling your product first, and the brand is the cherry on the top. And this goes for all the products. When you design all of these things, consider every product individually, rather than having the brand in mind and then just like the products going with it. Now, the next part is to understand Amazon itself. When I say Amazon, most people will imagine, or the image that comes to people's attention mind is this one here of the website. But Amazon is actually a huge company. And when you sell on Amazon, you're not only selling on Amazon Marketplace as a third party or on the Amazon website, you're actually interacting with all these other elements of Amazon. You have the Amazon Marketplace, of course, you have Amazon Fulfillment, Prime, payments, and so on and so on. So once you start working with Amazon, you have to keep in mind to not underestimate the number of touch points that Amazon has with your customers. It's not just the Amazon website. They touch them on different levels, and when you work properly with Amazon, you can reach out to your customers via those different channels that Amazon like integrates into its full service. Understanding this, like understanding the size of Amazon and how wide-reaching it is, there are basically two very straightforward ways of dealing with Amazon. The first way is the Amazon way, and the second way is the Amazon way. And why is this? Because Amazon Seller and Vendor Centrals are self-serving interfaces that allow Amazons to interact with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of selling partners globally on a scalable way. Unless you are Nike or Apple, Amazon will not go out of the way to really accommodate you. It's up to you to use the tools that Amazon gives you and leverage them in your favor. It's up to you to really make the best out of it. Amazon wants you to success, but unlike traditional retail, especially if you're a vendor, the vendor-Amazon relationship can be quite tricky because brands expect Amazon to behave like a traditional retailer and accommodate them and send them like back confirmation for POs. And Amazon doesn't do that. Amazon, they give you the information, but they expect you to go onto Vendor Central, find the information and check that everything is okay. Why? Because, well, you're just like a drop in a really, really big pond, a pond that Amazon wants to fill. Amazon wants to sell all the products in the world. They want you to sell your products on Amazon, but because of the volume and scale of these operations, they can't really afford to go out of their way and accommodate you individually, because just like it's not doable. They don't have the manpower, or it would be excessively expensive to do that. The next step, then once you accept like that Amazon is the way it is, and that you're not going to move the needle on the behavior, but it's up to you. It's to leverage your internally learn the Amazon way. And this is important because, again, we have a lot of clients who come here and they come to us and say, like, we have all these problems on Vendor Central or Seller Central and with Amazon, and they don't understand it. And then we ask them, like, well, how much time have you actually spent like exploring and learning the platform? And it's like, well, not really much. It's just like, I don't understand it. So it's really important that you yourself or whoever takes over your account on Amazon internally, that they familiarize themselves with Seller or Vendor Central, that you do all the training courses that Amazon provides. Amazon does provide actually a lot of free courses that people just like don't know about. I mean, you could spend 4 or 5 days going through the training course alone, like on Vendor Central or Seller Central as well. It's important that you keep up to date on Amazon, that you attend like the free webinars that you offer, that you know what's happening. So one day you don't wake up and it's like something was switched off and you find yourself like not knowing what happened when Amazon all along was kind of like saying that was going to happen, and you just like missed it, and that creates a chain reaction of havoc within your Amazon system. And finally, a lot of sellers and vendors, they feel they are alone in the journey, that often they don't find the answers on the system. But there's a huge Amazon seller and vendor community out there that you can reach out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Clubhouse, on Twitter. So if you ever have any questions in regards to like, try to find these groups. They're out there. It's not difficult to find them, and they're really good source of solving those problems and learning from others, or even just like keep reading into them and see like what are problems that other people are running into, and then you can hint like, oh, I had something similar. Maybe I should address this. Maybe I should change it before it reaches to that point of something actually breaking down. Next step then to creating a strategy, enhancing it, and this is like a really, really big one as well, is to manage your internal expectations about Amazon realistically. And managing the internal expectations on Amazon is quite tricky because it goes back to the first point that most people and most brands don't understand what it really takes on to be on Amazon. So to be on Amazon or manage Amazon, the person who manages Amazon on your brand has to look and control everything that's like related with logistics, POs, for like fulfilling the POs, making sure that the products arrive on time, overstocks, when you have like chargebacks, yada, 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 yada. The person has to look into everything that's sales and promotions. How much are you going to discount the product? For how long are you going to discount it? How much stock do you have? How quickly is it selling? If you're on Seller Central, if you're a third-party seller on Amazon, that person has to make sure that you don't run out of stock ever. That's the worst thing that can happen on Amazon, that you run out of stock because your organic ranking drops. So you can't run out of stock. But at the same time, you don't want to be sitting on thousands of units in stock because that's going to cost you a good chunk of money that you could be saving. So you want to optimize like how quickly your stock comes in, how quickly you're burning through it. That person will have to handle everything that's like in relationship probably with marketing on Amazon, running the promotions, setting up the campaigns, switching them on, switching them off, coordinating them with the sales and promotions that are running. And then finally, of course, you have as well accounting, which the person probably is not going to take over, but that person's going to be bothered a lot by your accountant, because your accountant is going to get all kinds of like chargebacks and differentiated charges from one invoice, and then all of a sudden like a chargeback is going to show up like 7 months later that wasn't charged, and you can't like trace it back, and you have to dispute chargeback. So it's a lot of work like that goes into it. And all of this that you have there has then to be integrated into your brand's 360 strategy. And that means basically, and this is like the big problem, that you need 4 or 5 people or 4 or 5 different departments that address Amazon at the same time. But because you're not going to have those 4 or 5 different people in those departments really going or learning everything about Amazon, you're probably going to only have 1 or 2 people addressing Amazon. That means those people who manage your Amazon accounts need to be well versed in all of those subjects so that they can talk to all the other departments when these problems come up. And I, on my daily routine with our clients, I talk maybe like every 3 days, like with all 3 or 4 departments of a client, because there's problems in accounting, there's problems with the POs, there's problems. We are coordinating some sales and promotions, and then of course like that triggers as well, like having to overview the marketing and so on. So the flow of information between what your brand is doing outside of Amazon and what it's doing on Amazon needs to be really, really good, so that whole flywheel doesn't come to a stop. So it's really important that you integrate Amazon into your brand's 360 strategy, that you integrate like what marketing you're running on Amazon, you're running off Amazon, what promotions, for example, you're running on Amazon, off Amazon. The typical problem there is that if you're a vendor, especially where you don't control your prices on Amazon, and your product, let's say you're selling to 3 retailers and you have your retail price or the list price on Amazon, and it happens to be that those 3 retailers, they run one runs a promotion for 2 weeks in January, the second one runs a promotion for 2 weeks in February, and the third one runs 3 weeks promotion in late February and early March. What is going to happen is Amazon is going to price match those retailers because of the flywheel, that they want to have competitive prices, and that's going to lead that your list price on Amazon is going to drop throughout most of the time, because it's basically going to look on Amazon's side that your product is constantly being discounted. And what is going to happen next is then, because that will eat into Amazon's margin, your vendor manager is going to get to you and say, look, this product is great, but you told us it was going to sell, for example, for 15 pounds, and it happens it's selling now at 10 pounds. We're not making our margins that we agree. You need to give me a better price. I need to make my cut, and you need to drop your price, for example, to let's say 8 pounds. So you do want to coordinate that your products then outside of Amazon are not discounted like on off for long periods of time through different channels, but really coordinate them, like hopefully have everyone discount like a product in January or in February or in March or during the whole month or doing 5-6 weeks or whatever it takes. But that's kind of like really, really important to get that like cross information right, so you don't step yourself, you don't step on your own feet. Because this subject about like managing the accounts is so widespread, this leads us to the next point about who manages then your Amazon account. So for your Amazon account of any given size, you should account for at least half a headcount for your operations. And on top of that, you probably want to account for at least half another headcount for your Amazon and marketing. But that's the very, very bare minimum. If you are having, let's say, you're aiming to having like a turnover of like 2 million, or let's say like you have 130 products that you're selling on Amazon, you're probably going to have someone dedicated overviewing the Amazon operations. You're going to have someone dedicated overviewing the day-to-day operations. So you have someone on the strategic level, you will have someone on the day-to-day operations, you will have someone probably on logistics, just fulfilling the POs that Amazon is sending over, because Amazon, and this is if you're a vendor, but Amazon won't be sending you a single PO, they will be sending you 16 POs each Monday, and then another 15 on Wednesdays that go out to 15 different fulfillment centers, for example. So the headcount and the amount of people that you need to assign to Amazon can increase quite quickly. If you're a smaller brand, or even like the given size that I just gave you, the question is then often, who do you hire? Do you put someone junior, or do you put someone more senior? And the problem that we see with our clients is often that if the person who is driving Amazon, so let's put it the other way around. What we see often is that naturally, because brands go and they see Amazon as a traditional or as another sales channel, they assign it to someone more junior and say like, here's Amazon, off you are, make it work. But because Amazon requires often some more high-level strategic approach, like on long-term promotions, like what are you going to promote on Prime Day? if you have a certain limit of how much you can discount your products on Prime Day, who's going to be allowed to take the decision to go beyond that? If Amazon, for example, approaches you and says, we would love you to be in our Christmas calendar, but you have to give us 40,000 units for free to put it in there as a promotional package, who is in your organization will have the say to say, yes, let's do this, let's go ahead, and not hold back. If that person is too junior, often what happens is all these initiatives that help you grow on Amazon and they help you move forward get held back because they cannot convey necessarily the idea, they can convey all the benefits that the upper management would like to see. So it's quite like important that you have someone on your account who has a clearance to kind of like go the full way, or at least like the person who is in charge of your account has a dedicated person in the middle or higher management to kind of like help them push these ideas through and really make Amazon work for them. And the last point of this, like who and how to manage your accounts is, and I'm only putting this in here because I get this asked all the time, do ex-Amazonians make a good account manager? Should we hire them? The answer to that is it depends. It depends who you're hiring and what you want them to do, because the advantage of ex-Amazonians is when you hire them, you have to look very closely what role they fulfilled at Amazon and what was like the day-to-day work. Because on Amazon, it's quite common that Amazonians get very specific roles with very specific functions, and within those functions they become very, very knowledgeable and really, really good. But because they're so specialized, they often lack like the broader spectral, the broader view. So you have to be looking into how much of a strategic level did that person manage actually on Amazon, or how much specific information did it manage, and then take the decision how that goes, or what requirements you have for your Amazon role and what you want to get out of your plan, right? The next part to optimizing is, and this is like the next step forward, and where a lot of brands step into, is basically planning and budgeting. A lot of brands think they can just like go on Amazon a little bit like last minute and show up and say like, well, I don't know, Prime Day is in June some point, and they show up like mid-May and say like, hey, can we still get on Prime Day? And yeah, that ship has sailed. Or they show up like in September and it's like, hey, can we still get on the advent calendar? It's like, nope, that ship has also sailed. So plan ahead for everything you do on Amazon. It will always take much longer than you anticipate it will. For 99% of the time, it will take longer. If Amazon tells you we can get you up and running in 2 weeks, it's going to take probably a month and a half or 2 months. Maybe Amazon can get you like up and running in 2 weeks, but maybe within your organization, it's going to take like an additional like 2 weeks because someone's on vacation or on annual leave. So then you don't have the meeting, then you have the meeting the week after, then it needs to be reviewed, it needs to be signed off again. So everything takes a very, very long time, even if you have the best intentions of it. And finally as well, the budget is really important. Especially on Amazon Beauty, it's very much a pay-to-play side. So align your budget with your goals. Don't go into the beauty section and say like, well, we're just going to have our products there to be sold, and you don't drive it, or maybe you just want to do that. That's okay as well. But if you want to grow on Amazon, if you want to really achieve your set goals on expansion, then assign the corresponding budget to get. And the budget goes into things like to run your marketing campaigns, to allow for new images, dedicated images for Amazon to be shot, allow for the proper A+ content for your store to be designed, like everything that's around it, for discount promotions, like everything that you need to really allow yourself to run on Amazon and make use of the tools that are available to you. Furthermore, and we're almost like through, so last couple of things. You really want to leverage promotions on Amazon with your brand. People love promotions, and so does Amazon. Take advantage of them. And a lot of brands, especially in beauty, they say they overlook subscribe and save, but subscribe and save is a key part. It's really a huge uplift for your brand to be part of it, because A lot of people subscribe and then just like they let it run. Well, like most subscription-based services, but it's a really good way to keep repeating the experience of your customers, like to deliver your brand and your products like into customers' hands in an easy way in exchange for a small discount, which is conditioned so a lot of people don't even get to take advantage of that discount. Leverage your Amazon marketing. If you're running Amazon marketing on Amazon and via Amazon, run your Amazon to achieve certain goals. Don't just set up and it's like, oh, we're just going to let it run here. No. Why are you running your marketing? Are you running it to increase your presence? Are you running to raise brand awareness? Are you running it to sell your products? You have a couple of different tools available for that to you. You have your sponsored brands. Just like to go quickly through it so you understand a couple of things. You have your sponsored brands, which is good to raise awareness, but it's not really not so good to generate sales, but it's cheaper. You have the sponsored brands. It's like when you go through searching, they show up on the top of the search. You have the sponsored product, which is like typically where it says below the product says sponsored. A lot of people think it's sponsored by Amazon. It's not. It's sponsored by the product, by the brands. So you have your sponsored product, which is really good for conversion. It's not so good to generate awareness about your brands, and it's normally more expensive because it's related directly to the bidding keywords. You have your sponsored displays, which is the insertion of your product into another product's product page, and those ones have probably the lowest conversion. They have a low brand awareness, a very low running cost because not many brands do it, but they're really good to retargeting potential buyers because there's a whole new section that ran around that, and they're really good like often to offer alternative products of your own brand that people might be interesting, like if they're looking into one of your products. For example, if you have face cream A and you have face cream B, you might want to insert a sponsored display of face cream B into face cream A. So if people are unsure, you give them an alternative product that people might be looking for, or it can be a complementary product. For example, if you have shampoo and you have conditioner, that also like works really, really well. And as to wrap this up and to have our main takeaways for how to optimize your Amazon strategy. No, there we go. First, understand what Amazon is, how it works, and why your customers are there. They're there because it's convenient, it's easy. Familiarize yourself and do a deep dive into the Amazon way. There's no way around it. You do have to understand how Amazon thinks and works for you to be successful on it. Align your internal expectations so you get the resources, you get the right staff for it to run it, which is like point number 4 as well. Like appoint the right and sufficient staff. Don't understaff yourself on it because you think like, well, you know, it's just like another e-commerce site. We can just like wing this. Plan and budget ahead as to allow you to achieve your goals. Lean into where Amazon is best in its class about price, selection, and convenience. And finally, I think the biggest takeaway is do Amazon or don't do Amazon. I think a lot of brands get stuck in the halfway, and that just builds an enormous amount of frustrations for them to deal with Amazon, which leads them basically to be stuck in this like Amazon limbo where they're not driving forward, but they can't really get out of it as well because there's a certain amount of sales to be generated, but they don't want to reinvest into it and make this work because they're frustrated with Amazon, but they can't really get out again. And it's just like you hear it already, it's this ever-turning circle of the chicken and egg situation where it's very, very difficult to get out because of the frustration and because of the internal like politics of a company. So take a decision with Amazon, do it and go all in. Or sometimes it's better just like if you say like, you know, we don't want to do it, we don't have any goals, then stay out of it. You're going to save yourself a lot of frustrations and probably money around it as well. And yes, this was how to optimize your Amazon strategy. I hope this helped you. I know it's a lot of information. I know it sounds very overwhelming, but that's how actually Amazon sometimes is, unfortunately. And that's why I eventually also have a job around that. But yes, if you have any questions, any follow-ups you would like to have, please reach out to me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Thank you very much.